Hey everybody, Jamie here, and this is Twin Peaks Tuesday, but on Wednesday. Um, how's everybody doing tonight? I hope you're all doing really good. Before I get started, I just wanted to talk a little bit about why sometimes I might have to cancel my streams and do them on a different day. Um, I'm dealing with my illness right now, and it's not easy. The medication is being switched around. It's creating a moodiness and it's creating, sometimes I get an upset stomach and a headache, and um, it's kind of making everything all over the place. So there's just going to be times when I'm supposed to do something and I might not be able to do it just because it's too difficult for me when I'm going through all these hormonal and whatever changes. I mean, the medication it controls hormones, so um, if it's not working right, sometimes I can get a little moody and not feel good. And I just think it's better that I don't bother you guys with that. If I'm in a bad mood, I don't really want to be on camera, do I? So that's basically what happened with that. Um, and I'm truly sorry about that. I know that you guys depend on me to be here on Tuesdays, and I will do my best to keep up on that and keep it on the regular day at the regular time. It's going to be Tuesdays at 8, sometimes 9, depending on what's going on in my life at the time. So I'm just hoping that you all can be here and support this little thing I'm doing. But getting that out of the way, I just wanted to tell you guys that, my illness is giving me a really hard time, and every day is a struggle for me right now. I'm struggling with my weight. I'm struggling with sore throats. I'm struggling with headaches and mood swings. And I hate saying the word mood swings, obviously, because every single time I say it, my eyes roll. It's because I don't like I don't like admitting that I'm ever in a bad mood. So, I mean, I like to give the illusion that I'm, happy all the time. And truth is, I'm not. I'm trying though, guys. I really am. So, let me get a drink and then we'll get this started. So, tonight we're going to talk about Twin Peaks season 1, episode 3 and 4. Episode 3 is called Rest in Pain, and it aired on April 26, 1990 for the first time. The show opens with Audrey and Cooper at breakfast, and Cooper mentions to Audrey as he walks by her about her perfume and how it smells nice, and then he invites her to sit down to breakfast. And then he says, "Write your name." So she does. She writes her name, and he comments on her romantic nature, that her, I think he says right way slant. I can't remember for sure if it's right or left, but um he said it shows that she has a heart that yearns, and obvious sparks are flying between the two of them. And I always regretted that they never got them together, because I always kind of thought, maybe they might be, even though I know that's crazy because she's obviously a senior in high school, and that wouldn't be extremely appropriate for an FBI agent to be dating a senior in high school. That didn't stop me from, having that little, my own little yearning inside for them to get together. For some reason, I really wanted that to happen. I figured she was probably 18, so at least she can make her own decisions. Um, then they start talking about the perfume counter at One Eye Jack's and how Laura worked there. And then Audrey gets up and she leaves. And then Harry and Lucy show up. And Coop tells them, all about his dream about the one armed man, the little man dancing, and Laura. Um, Quirky Coop line I wrote: nothing beats the taste sensation when maple syrup collides with ham. Boom, right? He's right. That's true. Nothing. Well, maybe bacon. I like bacon with maple syrup too. And believe me, living where I live, I don't eat that stuff you buy in the store. I don't eat that stuff. I will get real maple syrup if it kills me. I don't care if I have to spend a ton of money. I am not eating that junk you buy at Walmart. I'm just not. So yes, I am a syrup snob. So that's funny. But he's right. Nothing beats the taste sensation when maple syrup collides with ham. It's absolutely correct. Hi, Sean. Hi, Ghosty. How you doing? I hope you're doing well. Thanks for showing up. um, they also say the line "break the code, solve the crime," which I like that. I like saying that in real life all the time. Break the code, solve the crime. It's kind of a little mantra that I kind of live by. I'm My whole life surrounds breaking people's codes, breaking through what people are saying to me and reading between the lines kind of stuff. So I always really like all these little quirky things that Cooper says, because I kind of relate to his intuition side, because I really do think that intuition is extremely important. Um, I think that knowing yourself is to also know your enemy. So I think knowing yourself helps you, your intuition helps you to um, see what's going on. I'm sorry. I'm having internet trouble, so if I have any internet issues tonight, I'm sorry. I worked on this last week too. For some reason, my wireless is trying to connect at the same time as my wired. I'm on the wired, so it shouldn't be having this problem, but it keeps telling me I have an unstable connection, and I don't understand at all why. We have this set up. I've never had problems before, so I think it's really kind of weird. The last couple weeks I've been having this issue. Um, all right, let's move on. The next scene, Albert refuses to release Laura's body for the funeral. And look, I love Albert, but man, is he a jerk? Is he a jerk? So I was so glad when Harry punched him in the face after that string of insults he gives them. I mean, it's ridiculous. And he's not very nice. And I come from a small town that's very much like Twin Peaks. And here we care. We care when someone dies. We care. Now, granted, coming from a family that has an unsolved murder in it, um, I actually would have liked it if they would have spent more time on this kind of stuff when they were investigating it. But unfortunately, that's not the way that it went down. And because they didn't spend enough time doing things like this forensically, uh, that's never going to be solved. I am going to live the rest of my life questioning whether or not who I believe might have done it did it, or who they believe might have done it did it. So that stinks for me. But yeah, so it kind of irks me when he doesn't want to release the body, but it also at the same time I understand it, because I wish they wouldn't have released it so soon to my family either. Um, Cooper sides with Harry. As Harry punches him, Cooper looks away, and I don't blame him, because I think that Albert deserved that after calling him all the string of redneck names that he did, which was terrible. I love Albert, but man, that is terrible. Um, let's see, where am I? Next scene is at the Palmer house, and Leland is getting a sedative, I assume, and he's watching Invitation to Love. And this is where, I think the first time we might hear the names of um, Jade and Emerald, and it kind of parallels the Laura, like, double life kind of thing, which I think is kind of interesting. Um, Leland's expression is intense and rather sinister. I was on a Facebook group page earlier today where one of the discussions was, um, did you know beforehand? Did you know from the beginning, and before the reveal of Leland being the killer? Did you know? I did. I knew immediately. I knew from day one. I think I knew from the pilot. It was just the weird way he was acting, and um, again, I think my intuition took over, and also possibly the fact that I love David Lynch, and I know kind of how David Lynch thinks a little bit. So I kind of figured it would be the father. I just did. But a lot of people said that they didn't predict that, which I cannot understand why. They thought he was just acting that crazy on purpose or just because he was sad. Grief does not do that stuff to you. Not at all. So let's see. Maddie arrives, and it appears that he's surprised to see her. Why? There's a funeral going on for her cousin, and usually when there's a funeral going on, the whole family shows up. So why his over dramatic surprise to see Maddie and his over dramatic hug and everything? I mean, it just really, it kind of parallels the whole invitation to love thing, because I mean, drama is really important, I think, in uh soap operas. I'm saying too much. Sorry. Mm. But it really bothered me, because I was like, why is he like so shocked that he goes, Maddie, Maddie, like 4 times? And I'm like, that's just silly. But I suppose he's always, if you look, he's always over dramatic and overacting. Um, yeah, like I say later, I said Leland acts way true. I can't talk tonight either. Leland acts way too dramatic over the whole thing, as per, because he's tends to be overly dramatic no matter what he's doing. The next scene is at Leo's house. Cooper comments on seeing the ducks in the lake, again in awe of nature's beauty, which I love that. I love the when they throw in those little, happy little moments that kind of, make you make you love the characters, make you love the town, make you love the show, rather than all of it just being constant drama and constantly throwing it in your face like they do right after he says that. They walk up to Leo and they start interrogating him, and he's not pleased to be, questioned, and he pretends like he doesn't know Laura, and he lies and says that he doesn't know, but Cooper calls him on it, which I think was good. And then he talks about oh, never mind. Never mind. That's in a different part. Sorry. Um, like I said, Leo claims not to know Laura, and Coop calls him on it. And then the next scene, they go to the Briggs house, and Bobby is standing in front of a crucifix on the wall with uh, palm branches underneath, and he's kind of standing there, almost like he's mimicking the shape um, that it all takes on the wall, which I find extremely interesting. Um, I'm gonna, as we go along with my rewatch, I'll be finding connections to things, and I'm gonna have all these notes to go back to, and I'll be able to see where things connect, because I have a feeling that that's gonna connect somewhere later with Bobby. His it kind of makes me feel like they're almost even saying that he's kind of a savior in a way. And in a way he is. He does end up kind of being a savior in season 3, but they wouldn't have known that in season 1, I don't think, cuz did they know they were going to do a season 3 in season 1? No. So I might be just looking for connections that probably really aren't there. Anyway, Bobby is standing in front of the crucifix, and Major Briggs walks in, and he sits Bobby down, and he tells him to put his cigarette out. And Bobby doesn't like that too much, and they sit down, and he talks to Bobby in his usual manner, very sensitive. I find Major Briggs to be a very sensitive man. I really enjoy his character. Um, he says, don't be afraid. And Bobby gets upset and yells at him and says, afraid? I'm not afraid. He can't wait. he says he can't wait and that he's going to turn it upside down. And I completely understand that. I mean, when somebody you care about dies, and especially dies in a violent way, and you have no idea what exactly happened, I mean, you want to lash out at anybody and everybody that you can. So I can completely understand that. Also, the entire time he's talking uh, with Major Briggs, he's got this Zippo lighter in his hand, and he sits there and he lights it and he puts his hand over it, and he's literally playing with fire. He's literally playing with fire, which I find that what a fantastic little thing put in there, a little visual symbol of you know, the fire element. Um the next scene, Albert presents the evidence, types of twine and bird bites. Um, he says, "Look, it's trying to think." When Harry asks him, when Harry refers to it, and that's become a very popular GIF now. Is it GIF or is it GIF? I never can remember which it is. So, um, but it's become popular and people use that, look, it's trying to think all the time. I mean, and inside and outside the context of Twin Peaks, I use it for whenever I think somebody's stupid. So, Albert presents Cooper with an assault report, and Cooper refuses to sign it. And he stands up for the town, and he tells him, "Look, I've been here a short time, but I've seen decency and honor, and you're not going to screw that up. I'm not going to let you do that. I'm not going to let you hurt these people," which I really love. I love that. That's probably one of the best parts of Cooper, is that he seems to stand up for what's right. He always seems to know what's right, which that's why he's my hero. He's my hero the whole show. And I was so disappointed in season 3 when he doesn't wake up until the very last 2 episodes, because what in the heck? That's who I came to see. I came to see Cooper. I wanted to see Cooper come back. And all we get is "I am the FBI" and a bunch of weird random stuff after. And it killed me. It really did. It killed me. I was very upset over that. Let's see, the next scene is at the Hurley house, and it opens on Nadine's figurines, and they're showing the figurines, one of Nadine's many obsessions. Nadine is classic obsessive disorder, because she's constantly obsessing over Ed. She obsesses over her figurines. She obsesses over her silent drapes. Then later on in season 3, she obsesses over the show with Dr. Jacoby. And finally, in the end, Ed gets away. But man, when she walks up to him and she's hanging all over him and completely foolishly and grossly pawing all over him, she's begging for reassurance from him that he loves her. And he looks so miserable. I mean, he looks so unhappy. And it just makes me feel bad for Ed, because, man, Nadine is a handful. And I couldn't handle I couldn't handle someone like Nadine. It's so sad. Because I want to like her character, but she's just so needy. It's annoying. It ends up being annoying. James pulls up and Nadine doesn't seem to remember who he is, which, again, like I said last week when I was talking about her strength already being part of the picture, her amnesia is already part of the picture. So it isn't, I can't remember what causes her to go full amnesia. I will find out eventually when we get back into it. But yeah, I think that her amnesia is actually there in little bits to begin with. Now, my question is this a result of her eye injury that she got from Ed back in the day? Which we'll hear all about later in later episodes. The next scene is at the Great Northern, and Audrey sneaks behind the wall to spy on Dr. Jacoby and Johnny. And she finds out, whatever information she was looking for. I can't really remember. The only thing I really remember about that scene is that Dr. Jacoby gets Johnny to take his Native American headdress off. And he also, you can hear the parents, you can hear Ben and the wife arguing about how to handle Johnny. And it's really kind of sad because I imagine Johnny actually does understand that, it's not easy having him around, which I think is very sad and upsetting. Um, the next scene's the funeral. Okay, can we talk about Donna's ridiculous hat, please? That hat, now it's iconic. Every time if I see that scene, I'm like, oh God, that hat. Wow, what a 1980s or end of the 80s looking hat. And I feel so bad for Laura Flynn Boyle having to wear that hat and for the rest of her life be known as the lady with the weird hat at the funeral. Oh God, that hat is terrible. It's bad. I wouldn't wear it. I don't like to wear hats though, because I have a small head and I look weird in hats. Very seldom will you ever see me with a hat on my head. And you'll never see me with my hair in a ponytail. Mm-mm. It won't happen. I don't have enough hair to do that, really. Let's see. Bobby, he has a meltdown and he starts blaming the whole town for Laura's death. And he's right. I mean, people knew that she was in trouble. People saw it. They just didn't want to accept it. And that's typical for a small town. When you have a popular person who is undergoing some sort of trauma, and they feel like they can't talk about it because they have to uphold um sense of oh, what's the word I'm looking for, uh image. um when you have to hold up that kind of image, it gets difficult to tell people the truth about what's really going on in your life. And I think Laura had a lot of that. She had a lot of that going on, and I find that just so sad. And Bobby knew it. I mean, and Bobby, I think he loved her, but he didn't know how to help her, and also because he didn't know how to help himself, because at the time he was going through his own stuff. Um but James shows up and he doesn't walk fully up to the funeral, he stands behind, but when Bobby sees him, they have like a Mexican standoff and run right at each other, and they start fighting, and everybody tries to break it up. But in the meantime, while that's occurring, uh, Leland decides to jump into the grave and lay down on Laura's coffin, and everything goes haywire, and the whole machinery starts going up and down and up and down and up and down, and it's so sad. And then Sarah starts yelling at him, "Don't ruin this too." Makes you wonder, well, what did he ruin before? Is she talking about the abuse that none of us know about yet? Is she talking about that? Because it makes me wonder, what did he ruin before that she's talking about? They never really explain what she's referring to. So my assumption is that they are talking about the abuse that she endured. um And then you can hear, I don't know if it's Cooper or Harry, who says the whole thing's gone haywire. It has a double meaning, maybe more. Meaning, not only the machinery that, is bringing Laura's coffin down into the grave has gone haywire, but the entire funeral has gone haywire, which I find that interesting. The next scene is at the Double R, and Shelley's mocking the funeral incident to make the customers laugh using a napkin holder, and it's brutal. That's pretty brutal. I mean, to make fun of a father who lost his daughter, who's obviously grieving, and they didn't know about the abuse. So I mean, it's just really kind of mean. She must really, I think she inside doesn't like Laura very much, obviously, because she's with Bobby, so she can't possibly really like Laura a whole lot. um Cooper sits with Harry, Hawk, and Ed, and they order some pie or for Cooper. And he asks Ed how long he's been in love with Nora. Another moment of Cooper intuition that I absolutely love because he can sense it right away. And I think that's pretty cool. Um, and then he says, "This must be where pies go when they die," which has become a famous line, and a very memorable one at that. Uh, it's iconic. And then they tell Cooper about the Bookhouse Boys, and they talk about the darkness in the woods and it being a trade off for all the good in the town, which that kind of makes a lot of sense if you think in a yin yang kind of fashion, which I tend to. Um, it makes a lot of sense that there would be a balance, of light and dark, and that they're there to fight it. And there were people there before them and before them, and who knows how far back it goes. But I like the little gesture that they do. And is it here or here? I can't remember which, but I like the little gesture that they do. And he goes, "A secret society," with such a boyish charm that I just, it's such a funny little scene. Really like that a lot. The next scene, they take him to the book house to show him the book house, and that's where they walk in, and James is there and has Bernard all tied up, and he starts, to interrogate Bernard, trying to find out information on Jacques, and he does find out a little bit, but not a whole lot. In the next scene, we find out that Shelley has gotten herself a gun. She opens up the wall panel and shoves the gun in with the bloody shirt that she had found before. Um, then next we go to the Great Northern, and Leland begins to have a complete meltdown, asking people to dance with him, crying hysterically. It's so over the top and so dramatic, and that's why I think um, Bob likes to embarrass Leland. I think Bob forces him to act in these ways, and he likes to embarrass him. He gets off on this embarrassment that he puts Leland through. He puts Leland through hell, like through the whole thing. Now, granted, you're going to find out later that I don't think Leland is completely innocent in any of it. I actually believe he knew what he was doing, but he just couldn't stop himself. I'm not sure he really wanted to do it, but I think he knew he was doing it. And he couldn't stop himself because Bob has control, and he relinquished it, which I truly believe if you relinquish control to a entity, that you will be put in the back burner. You will not be able to um, function properly. And I think Laura knew that too, because we find out later that Bob wanted to be in Laura because, obviously Laura was doing a lot of really bad stuff. And if Bob feeds on all that bad, then being in Laura would be ideal for him. So Hawk and Cooper are having a conversation about souls, dream souls, wandering. And I love how deep and complex Hawk is. He's such a deep character with such complex things to say, and he thinks in such a complex manner. And I like that because I like it. He's like the shaman. He's like a shaman and almost like a spiritual advisor. And I enjoy that. I enjoy Hawk's one of my favorite characters in the show. Um, but then they see what Leland is doing, so they get up and they go over and they take Leland and they tell him they're going to take him home, and he starts repeating the word home over and over and over again, and that just gave me Wizard of Oz vibes. I just immediately was like Wizard of Oz, which I think there's many times when David Lynch will call out Wizard of Oz in his work. Obvious would be, Wild at Heart. There's Dorothy in Blue Velvet, and Dorothy wears a blue dress. She wears a blue robe. There's a whole bunch of correlations with Wizard of Oz and David Lynch work. So I'm not surprised by that. But that's how that episode ends, and I found that episode so touching and exciting. all at the same time, because you can tell the town is hurting so much over all of these things happening, and especially everything surrounding Laura's death. And at the same time, you can see how everyone is struggling with their own personal demons, which I think is just, it's fantastic. It's part of why I love the show, because it draws you in and it grips you and it makes you, it squeezes onto your heart and won't let go. Um, so now we're going to go on to season 1, episode 4, which is called The One Armed Man. And that one aired May 3rd, 1990. The show opens in the Palmer house, and Sarah describes Bob to Andy, and he draws up a sketch. She describes him as looking like an animal, which I find extremely interesting, because later on, we know there's a connection with this whole, the entities talk about animal life, and we know that there's like monkeys, and we know that Sarah was watching, I keep saying, she was watching lions fight on TV over and over and over again. So I find it kind of weird that, they're associating her with this animal vibe thing. So I'm going to be watching more for connections with Sarah to the animal life thing. Sarah tells them that Sarah doesn't tell them at first. Leland comes in and dramatically tells them that she's had 2 visions. And so he must be upset about this whole psychic thing that she's got going. Because he doesn't seem to be very pleased with the fact that she's had 2 visions, and he's definitely trying to embarrass her. So she decides to tell them the other vision that she had. She tells them about seeing the heart necklace buried under a rock, and a gloved hand lifting it up and then taking the necklace out. And Donna's sitting there going, holy crap, because, we all know Donna and James is the one who buried it. And if she's saying that it isn't there, that somebody took it, well, that makes Donna really worried. So she's going to go check that out eventually. The next scene, we go to the sheriff's station, and Jacoby tells Cooper about Laura having lots of secrets, and he explains his relationship with her. And Cooper asks him if he ever had sex with Laura, and he says no. And I was very glad to hear that, because I have a feeling a lot of others would say yes. Ben Horn being one of them, and I just don't know. Shouldn't be having sex with young girls. And now I realize she was a prostitute. But it's just wrong. So I was glad to hear that Dr. Jacoby was not taking advantage of Laura in that way, which makes him a better and more special person in her life, I think. Then this is the first time we get to hear Gordon Cole, which I'm delighted with, because it's David Lynch, and I love David Lynch so much. I love hearing his voice. I love seeing his face. So I was delighted to hear his voice for the first time. And he tells them where they can find the one-armed man, and then he tells them, oh no, he hasn't told them that yet. Never mind. The next scene is at the motel. Now I can't remember the name of this motel, but it's like way out of the way and in the woods, and I'd say it's like a middle of the road kind of place. Obviously Ben and Catherine are there, and they don't see it as a middle of the road kind of place. They think it's a dump, because she mentions, I bet you this place doesn't have any room service or whatever, which I think's funny. And they're having their little tryst there, discussing Josie and the cookbooks. Cooper and Harry show up to pick up the one-armed man, Philip Gerard, for questioning, and they find out he's a shoe salesman who used to sell pharmaceuticals. I find this interesting because the new shoes thing that goes on with Leo, he's constantly saying, Leo needs a new pair of shoes and new shoes, which that's interesting. What's the shoe correlation? And there's obvious other correlations with shoes, like the saddle shoes, the red shoes. Shoes must be important to Lynch in some way, and I'm bound to figure this out. So lots of correlation with Cooper's dream in strange ways. but lots of differences too. Meaning that when they go to pick up Philip Gerard, there are some similarities with the story he tells them, about who he is and about the arm getting cut off and the tattoo and everything. But there's also some differences. Um, it's like he doesn't know that he has Mike in him, which he has to take medication, if I remember right, to keep Mike down. But we'll get into that later when that episode comes up. Next scene's in the high school bathroom, and Donna's in the bathroom, and Audrey walks in. She lights a cigarette, and they start talking, and she says, "In real life, there is no algebra." That's become a really funny line to me, and I use that line quite often because it's true. Actually, that's not true, because you actually use algebra all the time in your life, and you don't even realize it. People just automatically do it in their heads, and they don't even realize they're doing math at all. Let's see, where was I? They start planning together to work together to find out what happened to Laura. And she tells Donna about Laura working at Horns. Why doesn't Donna know that Laura had a job at the perfume counter at Horns if they're best friends? It doesn't make much sense that Laura kept that from Donna, but she obviously did. I wonder why that is, except for the fact that maybe Donna might have wanted to get a job there too. And with the connection to One Eye Jacks, that could have been bad for Donna. And Laura was very protective of Donna. So it's possible that she just didn't tell her to keep her from wanting to be like her. So they decide, and Audrey mentions One Eye Jacks to Donna, and Donna doesn't know what it is, but she asks if it's a Brando movie. So there's another mention of Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando seems to be a running thing in Twin Peaks. I find that another little interesting correlation. The next scene is Hank and Norma when Hank is going to his parole hearing, and he asks Norma for help to get out, and he makes all kinds of promises to her to be a better person, to stop doing all the crime, to make everything up to her. And she looks skeptical, but I don't know, maybe she feels somehow indebted to him. So, especially because they're married. He goes in and he talks to the parole board, and she tells the board that she'll give him a job at the Double R, which gets him out. It gets him out. And no offense to Chris Mulkey, but I mean, he did some good acting there because Hank is a creep. He's creepy, and he's a total creep. Hi, James. Hey, how you doing? Kisses to you. So where was I? Oh yeah. So he promises to be better. Norma gets him out of it, so he gets out of jail. She doesn't know this yet, though. The next scene is Lydecker, that they figure out who took care of the bird, and they pick up the files to go through, and they bring them back to the station. The next scene is Shelly's house, and Shelly shows Bobby the gun and tells him about the bloody shirt. Bobby takes the shirt to plant in Jock's apartment, and Shelly uses the gun for seductive sexual gunplay, which I find extremely strange and weird and creepy. I mean, I don't find weapons sexy in the least. So her saying, "Teach me, Bobby," and with this, what a pretty gun, by the way, though. I mean, it's not like I like guns, but wow, that's a really shiny and pretty gun with a nice pearl handle. It's kind of nice. I kind of like it. If I was a girl and wanted to buy something like that, well, I am a girl, but if I wanted to buy something like that, it would be something like that with a nice pearl handle, shiny and pretty. Oh, thanks, James. Yes, I'm getting things back here. It's coming along quite nicely. I really love the couch, and I like the addition of all the chevron stuff. It's coming along. It'll be it'll be a nice little studio when I'm done, hopefully. Um, let's see, where was I? Oh yeah. The next scene is shooting practice, and Andy cannot shoot for shit. I mean, it's hilarious how bad he is. He's kind of bad at everything, and he's kind of like the bumbling cop. I mean, every show has one, every soap opera has one. So I find it's levity. We need a little levity in such darkness, you know. And this is one of my favorite parts of the show because Cooper talks about the former woman that he was in love with who taught him about broken hearts. Um, broken hearts. I like that because it's like a double meaning. Hearts have a meaning, obviously, because the necklaces are a broken heart. One person has one half, the other person has the other half. So it's a broken heart. And I just find that interesting that they, yeah, that's what I said. Funny, funny, James. Nipples. I said nipple. um, where was I? Oh yeah, the broken hearts. So it's funny because there's so much like double speak and correlation with different things, and I love dot to dots. So basically, I'm always playing dot to dots. When I see these little things that repeat themselves, names too, and I'll be bringing up those eventually too in some show. I'm going to compile all the list of names where he uses them repeatedly for some reason. And I've never been able to figure out why, but he does. Um, so he talks about his broken heart, and we know now that he's referring to Caroline. And I'm going to read you Hawk's poem that he wrote for his girlfriend, which I love this. One woman can make you fly like an eagle. Another can give you the strength of a lion. But only one in the cycle of life can fill your heart with wonder and the wisdom that you have known a singular joy. Oh, isn't that so true? So true. Um, I just think that's so funny because he goes, I wrote that from a girlfriend right when he's finished. It just shows what kind of a Mac Daddy Hawk's been. Mm-hmm. Hawk's a hottie. Mm-hmm. I like the sensitive type. Um, Lucy comes and chimes in over the loudspeaker saying that she needs help to get through the files and explaining that, you know, the files are organized in a really weird fashion by pets' names rather than type. So Cooper says, we're going to need more coffee, which has become an iconic line from the show. And I love that. I every time I hear that line, it gives me a little smile and gives me a little chuckle. I like that. The next scene is in the double R, and James is on the phone, and Maddie walks in, and it freaks him out. He walks up to her. He's got this, you know, like completely blank, in awe face, and he says, "Who are you?" And she tells him in like the nicest manner. But I got to tell you, if I was Maddie and some guy was looking at me like that and asked me who I was, they'd probably get punched in the face or something along those lines because I think it's creepy. Now, you know, I already don't like James's character anyway. He's weird and awkward and uh, uh, I don't like it. He's creepy. He creeps me out. He's too he's like the clingy guy. That's what it is. I don't know if Sam's in here right now, but it's Sam, clingy guy. You know what I'm talking about, right? Um, yeah. So I don't like James. I don't like James's character. He creeps me out. And the way he was looking at Maddie was like a dog in heat. And poor Maddie having to look just like Laura. I mean, God. And then you got everybody looking at you in town like, whoa, you basically look exactly the same. And it's just sad because it reminds me also of the way that Leland was acting when she walked in, just completely over the top and dramatic. The next scene is at the Great Northern, and Audrey, I love this scene too because I love every scene Audrey's in. Audrey manipulates Ben for a job, saying that she wants to learn the family business and be his daughter again. And we all know that the reason why is because she wants to do some investigation. She wants to investigate into Laura's murder and figure it out. And this is her way of manipulating her father. Now, granted, I'm sure that she loves her father. I'm sure she loves Ben very much. But you can just see that, that little girl manipulation. And I know this well because, I had a dad and I manipulated my dad on many occasions, you know, and I used some schmoozing to do so. So I definitely know about the schmoozing thing there. Um, the next scene is Jack's apartment, and Bobby plants the bloody shirt and he gets away. And then Cooper and Harry and Hawk and Andy, they raid Jack's apartment and they find the shirt. But they chase Bobby down thinking it's Jack and they don't catch him. So Bobby gets away, which thank goodness he gets away. Um, then it goes to Ben meeting up with Leo in the woods, and Ben is really not happy that Leo's driving that beautiful red Corvette. It's not inconspicuous enough for him, and I don't blame him. That car is definitely screams, "Hello, look at me." So I find that kind of funny that it upsets Ben, but then Ben gets over that pretty quick because Leo points down to the ground by the tree, and there's poor Bernard all wrapped in a sheet, obviously been murdered by Leo. And he says they start talking about the plans to burn down the mill. So there are plans to burn down the mill. Leo is going to carry this plan out for him, um, as per Catherine, because Catherine really came up with this idea. It's Catherine who really wants the land there. So he's hiring Leo to do this job. It might be a good idea, but it might not be because I don't know. Leo seems kind of like a bumbling screw up here and there, so I don't know. The next scene is James and Donna in the woods. I don't like it. So they check the spot where they left the necklace and they find that it's missing. So it freaks them out because they're like, who the hell knows that we put this here? I mean, granted, they're in the middle of the woods. It's a random spot in the middle of the woods, and one person actually knows where that is. That's absolutely crazy and insane. And we all know it's Dr. Jacoby who has it. Um, they talk about Sarah having the visions. And as they're talking about that, an owl howls out and they look up. And I'm like, I never noticed that before. That when they're talking about Sarah, an owl hoos. That's pretty cool. There's another little animal correlation and also owl correlation. And more sappy, gross, yucky stuff with James and Donna kissing. I don't like it. Sorry. I think the gagging's funny when I do it, so it might be too much. The next scene is Josie, and Josie makes Pete a turkey sandwich. So, you know, turkey and the corn is just another correlation. Uh, Josie gets a drawing of a domino in the mail, the triple, or the two threes, so the six domino, um, which we all know is Hank because Hank carries it around. He had it in his hand when he was in the parole hearing, and he has it in his hand when he's calling Josie on the phone at this very moment. And she answered the phone, and Hank, with his creepy manner, says she, or I'm sorry, I say she looks worried. He calls her with his creepy manner because Hank has a creepy manner about him that is just awful. It's terrible. I do not like his character. He creeps me out. I'm glad when he kind of disappears because he was never really one of my favorite people in the show. So, but Josie looks extremely worried. And what is the connection between them two? I can't really remember except for that hires him to do stuff. But it seems like he got something over on Josie, and I'm trying to remember what exactly it was. Um, Hopefully, as I'm rewatching the show, I'll figure that out. But it just seems like she's particularly afraid of Hank, and Hank is particularly choosing to um, harass her. So it's just weird and makes me wonder, what's going on with that. But that's it. That's the 2 episodes that I watched for the show this time. So, what are you guys' thoughts on it? Let's check the chat and see what you guys are saying about it. So we'll go back to the beginning. Hi, Sean. Hi, Ghosty. Hi, Darren. Hi, Gary. Hi, Zombie. Oh, you guys are in here. That's awesome. Hi. Leo scared the crap out of me. Yes, Leo scared the crap out. He scares the crap out of me too because of the way he treats Shelly. When he puts that soap in the sock, I mean, absolutely tragic and horrible. What a horrible thing to do to a person. That is terrifying. I can't even imagine. I would never even want to go home again. I can't even imagine how she does go home again. It's terrible the way that Leo treats Shelly, and it's no wonder that Shelly ends up, wanting to cheat on him with Bobby because he's so horrible to her. I mean, what else is she going to do? She's going to be attracted to some other bad boy. And obviously, we know Shelly is attracted to the bad boys because in season 3, it's Bobby's too good for her now, and she's off to Red. So it's kind of weird, but cats are hacking Jamie's internet. The cats are probably hacking my internet. Who knows? Actually, I don't know what's going on. We'll figure it out. I've been doing this for a long time now, and I've never had such issues. So I really don't know what's going on with it. I don't know if it's something we changed in the settings or really what's going on, but I'll get it figured out eventually. To this day, she still has the most silent drapes. She does. She does have the most silent drapes. I'm actually impressed that she builds the silent drapes and she makes a business out of it for herself. I mean, that's doing something. I mean, Nadine, at least it proves that Nadine is capable of some kind of sensible, thinking and building a life for herself. So that was always kind of cool. Leland thinking she's crazy. I don't remember what that was about. Cooper lost his shoes in the return. He did. You're right. I totally forgot about that. Shoes. More shoe issues. I'm going to be looking for shoe issues through the whole thing now. Oh yeah, I got my jab. I don't know if you can see. It's not that one lower is a bug bite, but right there, that's the jab I got. And yes, it's not supposed to bruise or make a person bleed, but I'm not normal. So it bruised me and made me bleed. So whatever. I'm just happy to be getting it and hopefully not have to worry about ever getting COVID because obviously I don't want that. So I'd rather get the jab. Ask Gary North about this, but I believe Monica Bellucci was an extra in this episode. Do you think? Was she an extra in the episode, Gary? Was she? You guys are arguing about it in the chat, I see. No, I don't know. Where was she if she was in it? I would have loved to have noticed that. And if she's in there, please point it out so I can go find it. PlayStation 5. Awesome. I want a PlayStation 5. I've got a 4 still, but I'll get a 5 eventually. Right now, my 4 works fine though. But I know that I'm gonna wanna get a 5 because I happen to know they're making another Silent Hill game that's gonna go right along and only be available on PlayStation 5. So, I'm going to definitely wanna get PlayStation 5 because there's no way they're making a new Silent Hill game and I'm not gonna play it. I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna find it. So no, James is not secretly my favorite character. Oh, oh my god, he's so gross. Ugh. I could never date a person who is so ugh, too clingy. Gross. I'm sorry to James Marshall because I love James Marshall. James Marshall himself is a sweet guy, but I don't know the character. The way he plays him is so creepy. Ugh, I don't like it. A deleted scene where Bellucci's character Trixie gives James some lube oil for his engine. Oh, is there now? Oh, I see. Okay. I'll have to go back and look at the special features and try to find that. Donna's your least favorite character in all of Twin Peaks, Sean? I don't blame you. I mean, she's not my favorite really. Um she also kind of gets on my nerves cuz she's just too much of a little goody two shoes for me. You know. I pretend to be a goody two shoes, but I'm pretty dark on the inside. So, um, yes, really, Hawk. Hawk is hot. Hawk, especially back in the old days. Oh my, he was so good looking. What a he could get it. He could get it. Hawk was definitely really good looking back in 1990. Um, Laura Flynn Boyle is good. And you're right. The show does need some melodrama, especially if it's going to be compared to, you know, a soap opera. Which I earlier before you got here, James, I was talking about the episode before this one and about how Leland is so dramatic and intense all the time, and how that kind of clued me in. That clued me into I always thought that it was going to be her dad that did it. I didn't want it to be, but I just thought because of the over dramatic way that he was acting and all the weird little faces he would make, and you could see that there was something sinister going on behind his eyes all the time. And if Ray Wise was supposed to do that, but man, he did a good job because I did suspect him, and I didn't really think it was going to be anybody but him. So is the complete Twin Peaks on Blu-ray? Yes, it is. I own the Blu-ray set. Also, they've got the A to Z set, which is I think also Blu-ray, and I don't have that one. I got the one from before that, and then I got season 3 on DVD. I didn't get that one on Blu-ray, but I got the DVDs. Um, but I might have to upgrade once one day. So I might end up getting that box set. We'll see. Um, yes, James is right. The gold set. But is the gold set DVD or is that Blu-ray? I thought the blue set was the Blu-rays and the gold set was DVDs. I don't know. I might be mixed up. Actress Joan Chen was given horse tranquilizer injections before all her scenes to make sure they were as boring as possible. Yeah. It's sad that they didn't actually include her in season 3 because she wanted to be part of it. And I think that adding her in would have been a nice little touch. Plus, she just had a birthday and she turned 60 and she looks fantastic. I mean, absolutely fantastic. I'm completely floored at how good that woman looks. What's her secret? I want to know. I'll use it on my face too. Um, Sean, you don't like Donna? That's funny. I don't. Donna's hard to like because she's such a goody goody, but mm, I like Laura Flynn Boyle. Most pointless character in the show, you think, Gary? Almost everyone on Region Free has something to say about Twin Peaks. You got to buy it. Do they? Because those guys, they have talked to me a little bit about it, but mostly it's just been Lauren and Christian who really talk about Twin Peaks with me. Um, a little bit, Monty does a little bit. So some of the guys know about it, but I don't know. They haven't all talked about it. I think they kind of think I'm crazy because I have such an obsession with it. I do kind of have an over obsession with David Lynch, I think, but it's okay. It's good. It's a good thing. It's a good thing to have a few obsessions in your life, as long as they're not excessive. Most likely due to living in a rural area, Jamie is all same for me. What do you mean? You live in a rural area? You live in a rural area, right, James? Pretty sure you've said that before. Kind of like where I live, out in the middle of nowhere. Watch the last episode of On the Air. Lynch is just a shoe fetishist. Oh, and puts mink air on his own in the smell deeply. What? Oh, he puts it on his own shoes and then breathes in the smell? Ugh, gross. That's icky. I am a vampire. It's true. I am a vampire. I'm up all night. I don't sleep all day, though. I sleep maybe 4 hours a day, 4 hours a night. At this point, anyway, I'm trying to get on a better schedule. I really am. This whole changing my medication around thing has been very difficult. And it's got my moods all over the place. It's got my sleeping patterns all over the place. And I'm trying really hard to regulate. It's just very hard. Oh, you're going to get Resident Evil 8 tomorrow? Oh, I'm so jelly. I haven't finished 7 yet because I'm scared. I got freaked out by the mom because the I don't know if you've played 7, Sean, but the mom in that game, she has like this pregnant belly full of bugs, and it's I get freaked out and I run and I end up hiding, and I don't want to come out of hiding because I'm scared of the ladies. So I got to figure out a way to get through that part before I can continue on. But as soon as I finish 7, I'm going to get 8 for sure. Hi, Steak. How you doing? Oh, God, Sean, I can't. When he sings that song, Just You, I'm going to be like, through that whole entire episode of mine. I'll be like, I don't like it. I don't. It is the sappiest. It is the sappiest crap ever. I wouldn't mind singing the background though. I mean, if you have me doing work for it, then I'm not going to care so much. It's a crappy, weird song, but I'm definitely I'm not a fan of listening to it. Laura Flynn Boyle has her knockers, but they looked good in a tight sweater when she was chilling with Harold Smith. Jesus, James. Oh my God. It's always about boobs. Always. Gold is DVD. Okay. Yeah. I really do like the Blu-ray set. I was just commenting just the other night when I rewatched these episodes at how clear it looks and how good it looks. It's actually quite fantastic. It really brightens up the colors, and I don't know. I say go Blu-ray if you can. If you can, I say get the A to Z set if you can afford it, because you get everything and then you don't have to buy anything more. Well, until they come out with something new, obviously. Joan Chen swears by deep fried pork balls? Holy moly. Yuck. Yeah. I'm not a fan of pork. I do not like pork. I'm not a big fan of ham. I mean, every once in a while I have a little bit of ham with like a breakfast, but you will not see me ordering a ham sandwich or a ham sub. I just before I had my son, I ate tons of pork and ham and it never bothered me. And then I got pregnant and I couldn't even look at the frozen pork in the fridge in the freezer. I made Scott throw it all away because every time I looked at it, it made me sick and I puked. So I couldn't even look at frozen pork. So and I've not eaten much pork since. Maybe a pork chop here and there. And I do make stuffed pork chops where you guys are gonna love this recipe. You gotta do it, okay? You take pork chops and you cut them into halves. You know, you butterfly them, and then you stuff them with stuffing, and then you line a 13 by 9 pan with apple pie filling. You put those stuffed pork chops in. You put a few apples on the top of each of the stuffed pork chops and a little dollop of stuffing. You throw it in the oven and you cook it up, and it is delicious. The salt and the sweet from the apples, perfect combination. Make sure you get the stuff with the cinnamon because you need that little bit of cinnamon in there for that little bit of bitterness too. So the combination is incredible. You guys got to make it. It's so good. I really like it. No, I'm not a fan of pork, James. I don't really like pork much. I don't dig on pig. I don't like pig. Don't dig on it. Yes, Sean. Sing you and I. Sing it. And you said you're going to get a camera. You better get a camera. And when you get a camera, you better come on my show because I'm going to get very upset if you don't. I think you should on my show first before you go on anybody else's show, by the way. My show first. I'm first. 7 was what led to the discovery of two of my nieces liking video games on something other than mobile games. Oh, really? Yeah, 7 is such a good game. It's so scary. I think it might be the scariest game I've ever played. I mean, it beat Silent Hill, and I was terrified the first time I played Silent Hill 2. Those monsters scare the crap out of me in Silent Hill 2, especially Pyramid Head. But man, I can't even describe how Resident Evil 7 makes me feel. It's like being thrown into the middle of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but like if they were zombies, which is really creepy. It's so good. What a good game. You better, Sean. You better. Well, I do. I have both the Evil Within games, and I like the first one. I have never finished it because I get to a specific point, and then I get upset because it kind of turns into like this first person, or not a first person. I'm sorry. It turns into like this third person shooter, and I did not want to play that game in order to play it for shooting purposes. It really isn't. I don't enjoy it that much. Now, moving on to, Evil Within 2, um, that game's fantastic, and I love the Twin Peaks references in it. Even one of the FBI agents in the very beginning of the game, which I took a screenshot of, looks exactly like Cooper. I mean, it is creepy. And they have like the whole the chevron floor and the whole red curtain thing going. It's cool. It's cool. I really like the Evil Within games a lot. Have you played Life is Strange? Because that one is another really good one. It's not scary like, you know, traditionally. Um, but it has scary things in it, and you get kidnapped by a serial killer, and it's pretty cool. It's a cool game. I like it a lot. I've played it a few times. It's one of my favorites. There's not a whole lot of horror games out right now that I like a whole lot. Dollhouse is good. It's got some disturbing imagery in it. Um, I've been playing Little Nightmares, which is more of a platformer game, which I find fun but frustrating. And I die so many times that I end up getting ticked off and not wanting to play it anymore because it keeps on. I keep dying, can't get past things. You don't have weapons or anything in that one. You just kind of sneak around, and it's disturbing. And has a surprise ending. So I'm not going to tell you what the ending is, but it's good. You should check it out. Yes, Deadly Premonition. I have Deadly Premonition on my computer, but I have not played it because I couldn't get it working. So once I can get my husband to get it working for me, I'll play it. It is. I've watched other people play it. It is basically Twin Peaks, the video game. So is Alan Wake. If you haven't played Alan Wake, I highly recommend Alan Wake. It's so fun and it's so much like Twin Peaks. It's like walking into Twin Peaks. I'm not going to tell you much about it, but it has the best music in any video game that I've ever played. Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, please give me more Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. I love those guys. They are awesome. And it makes that game so much better. One day I might play that game and I might broadcast it. The problem I have is that it's hard to get around copyrights because the music in that game is copyrighted. So it's hard to play that game with the music playing. I have plenty of time to play video games, Gary, because I'm just a boring person who's home all day. Sword of Pork, Terror of the Pork. It's a good Halloween game. I definitely play that. But all right, guys. Well, I've been going for an hour and 11 minutes. And I hope my internet hasn't messed up too bad for you guys and made things difficult. I was very, very upset that, last week I had such troubles, and we switched some things around, and I thought that I wasn't going to have any troubles this week, but it keeps telling me that I have a low signal, which if that's the case and I'm hooked up to the wired, that means I'm going to have to go down to my cable company and raise holy hell, because they're obviously cutting my internet down at this time of night, which really irks me. Pork in the woods, huh? Ooh, risque. It's, in May, it is May. So, there is a saying that my husband likes to say called, it goes, hooray, hooray, the 1st of May, outdoor humping starts today. So, pork in the woods, pork in the woods. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe, and just keep on tuning in on Tuesdays for Twin Peaks Tuesdays, because I'll be back every Tuesday, and I'll be doing some surprise live streams here and there. So keep up keep on coming in and watching. So thank you, guys. Yes, I do need to get on the case of the cable dealers. Definitely. But yeah, hang on one second. I got to fix this crap. But thank you so much, you guys, for coming. And like I said, like and subscribe, and we will talk to you later on. See ya.